is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and we begin tonight with several breaking stories. Two major storms hitting on both coasts tonight. But first, the fallout from the storm unleashed in Washington today. The CIA torture report now revealed, and this evening for the first time we hear in detail what was done in secret prisons after 9/11. From the chains to the coffin to the confusion over who was on our side. The CIA firing back tonight, arguing it worked. This evening, you're about to hear it for yourself. The American people left to decide. Let's get right to ABC's Chief Global Affairs Correspondent, Martha Raddatz, leading us off tonight. Martha.
David, some of these detainees are al-Qaeda operatives suspected of taking part in the worst terrorist attacks in this country's history.
The details of what American interrogators did to detainees in the dark days after 9/11 are vivid and gruesome. Stripped naked and diapered. One detainee chained to a wall for 17 straight days in a standing position. Another threatened with a drill. One left to die in a cell from hypothermia. At least 5 detainees were hydrated or fed through a tube inserted into the colon to give the interrogator, quote, total control over the detainee.
The interrogations of CIA detainees were absolutely brutal, far worse than the CIA represented them to policymakers and others.
The first terrorist detained, Abu Zubaydah, believed then to be a key al-Qaeda operative, was waterboarded 83 times at a CIA black site. After convulsing and vomiting in one session, he became completely unresponsive, with bubbles rising through his open, full mouth. Kept in a coffin-sized box for 11 days, he was told the only way he would leave the facility was in a coffin. Today's report concluded that despite the extreme interrogation, Zubaydah had no new information about future plots. Eventually, even the CIA team began to fall apart. It seems the collective opinion that we should not go much further. Several on the team profoundly affected, some to the point of tears and choking up. CIA officers were operating at black sites from Afghanistan to Thailand to Poland, interrogating 119 detainees. And some of the interrogators themselves, the report says, included individuals with workplace anger management issues and had reportedly admitted to sexual assault.
History will judge us by our commitment to a just society governed by law and the willingness to face an ugly truth and say never again.
And Martha, the report reveals that 2 of the detainees being punished were actually on our side. They were our own informants.
That's right, David. 2 of the detainees shackled for 24 hours in a standing position were later found to be informants for the CIA who'd been trying to share intelligence with the agency. And here's another stunning revelation tonight, David. The report concludes that torture did not lead to useful information in any of the 20 cases that were investigated.
Martha, thank you. And as you know, tonight, several former CIA directors are furious, fighting back, arguing the tactics did work, and that they eventually led to Osama bin Laden. How? Through his personal messenger. ABC's Chief White House Correspondent, Jonathan Karl now.
The tactics were harsh, but the CIA says it is flat out wrong to say they did not work. The brutal interrogations, CIA Director John Brennan said today, did produce intelligence that helped thwart attack plans, capture terrorists, and save lives. And in a fiery defense of the spy agency's honor, 3 former CIA directors and their deputies say in the Wall Street Journal the Senate report is a partisan attack on the agency that has done the most to protect America after the 9/11 attacks. They've even launched their own website, CIASavedLives.com. The report makes the CIA sound like a rogue agency, but the spy chiefs say the program was fully authorized by the Justice Department and the White House. The report says President Bush didn't know all the specifics, but just last week, he defended the CIA.
We're fortunate to have men and women who work hard at the CIA.
One key question, did the interrogations help get Osama bin Laden? The report says no, the CIA says yes, that only through harsh interrogation did they discover bin Laden's personal messenger, and following the messenger led to bin Laden's hideout in Pakistan. The report was done entirely by Democrats, and most Republicans are trashing it, but not John McCain, who himself was tortured in Vietnam.
It's about who we were, who we are, and who we aspire to be. Our enemies act without conscience. We must not.
And John's with us live now from the White House. And John, we heard support from President Bush there in your report. Have we heard if President Obama supports what he learned from this report?
Well, David, we heard from President Obama's director of the CIA saying he disagrees with the report on that critical question of whether or not it saved lives. The director of the CIA, Obama's director, says yes, it did. They're not saying that here at the White House. All they are saying is that even if the interrogation program worked, it wasn't worth it.
All right, John, thank you. And of course, the question now, does revealing all of this put Americans here at home and around the world in greater danger? Will there be a backlash? U.S. embassies and military warned, and tonight the president, one-on-one with our partners at Fusion. Here's what my colleague Jorge Ramos asked about our safety.
Are we in danger right now of an attack, either at home or abroad, because of this report?
We've taken precautionary measures in our embassies and around the world. There's never a perfect time to release a report like this, but it was important for us, I think, to recognize that part of what sets us apart is when we do something wrong, we acknowledge it.
Jorge Ramos with President Obama late today. We move on now to